I trained mainly in Waijiachuan since childhood. I learned Choi Li Foot Kung Fu with my dad, Wing Chun and Western boxing with Wang Shenglong, but I rarely touch on Neijiachuan. I've come to Shanxi, the cradle of Xing Yi, to learn about power generation and its fist-fighting techniques. It'll help me in films. It'll also improve my grasp of Waijiachuan and martial arts training. Jerry, my senior, will join me on this trip.
1, 2, 3, thrust!
He can point things out to me when we train. He can tell me what I need to improve upon if I have a chance to spar with an opponent.
I've been training in martial arts for nearly 20 years. I learned Wing Chun, Sanda, and kickboxing. I've taken part in Hong Kong Open Sanda competition, and I'm a 3-time champion. They say the power of Xing Yi and Xin Yi has the effect of hitting a person like hanging a painting. I insist on a scientific approach while training my students and myself. If your punch lacks power, train more in hitting sandbags. If your kick lacks power, train more in target kicking. The literature on Xing Yi and Xin Yi states that an emphasis on standing meditation and static stance contributes to generating greater power, if the meditation and stance is enough to achieve such power. I'm fascinated and intrigued to find out how they can do it, and I hope to find the answer in this trip.
The terrain is mountainous in Shanxi, China. In the Ming and Qing dynasties, commerce flourished there. When the Shanxi merchants traveled on business, they frequently encountered bandits. Firms providing armed escorts sprang up in the region. Martial arts have always been important to the people in Shanxi. Xing Yi, which started here, has therefore been able to spread far and wide. Xing Yi is one of the 3 main Neijiachuan in China. Xin Yi evolved into Xing Yi and then into Yi in a continuous lineage. It is said that in the Qing dynasty, Ji Zheke created the discipline after he got hold of Yue Fei's boxing manual. Taking its essence, Dai Longbang created Dai-style Xin Yi. To understand the origin of Xin Yi, Philip and Jerry have come to Xixian in Shanxi to study under the 5th and 6th generation descendants of Dai-style Xin Yi, Master Wang Yinghai and his grandson, Master Wang Xichen. Xin Yi is about internal and external integration. It begins with intent and ends in form. The internal bursts of power originate from the pubic region, so its basic training begins with standing meditation. The focus is deep breathing training using the diaphragm down to the pubic region.
With your hands on the pubic region and body straight, contract your body, inhale. Inhale through the nose all the way in, from the nose through to the pubic region. Then contract downwards. Once it reaches the pubic region, roll back and the bottom is tucked in. Arch your waist. It has to be arched. The waist must not be straight. Why arched? It's contracted if arched. Why contracted? Once contracted, it can then be released. In order to release, you must contract. This is how yin and yang works. Generate power. You must vocalize it. Right, that's good. Your vocalization is not good. You need to project it like medicine. If it's right, it'll be efficacious. However, if you don't do it correctly, well, it can be fatal. You must practice. You are doing harm to your body. This is continuous bursts of power. But when you train, you must do it step by step.
The good thing about traditional Kung Fu is that it's not just about combat, although it is important. With incorrect training, you'll just hurt yourself, not your opponent. This is very important.
I can appreciate very much what the master meant by tight and loose. In Hong Kong, people training in martial arts are either too tight or too loose. It's not easy to strike a balance between the two. Just now, he asked us while standing to contract, then release downwards, then slowly push it back up. The slower the movement is, the more difficult it becomes. We've been training in martial arts for years, and we find this one simple movement quite challenging for us.
What does the nei and nei jia chuan mean? It means you have to be aware of the internal structures. Tighten the butt, breath focused in the pubic region, shoulders relaxed, abdomen contracted. This is very difficult to grasp. Wei jia chuan shows you externally, so it's easier to understand. With nei jia chuan, you have to feel it before you can appreciate its difficulty and power.
I'll teach you one more thing. Lower your chin. This is heaven, this is earth.
Right.
Don't use any force. Relax. Be natural.
I tried my very best to do the movement. The master did his best to teach me, too. Then things started to change. He would look at me at first, then he closed his eyes. He didn't even want to see.
Like the way you are with your students?
I guess so.
Dai Long Bang was wealthy. He had a guarded escort business, but he did not make a living teaching boxing. He would rather the discipline be lost than to pass it to just anyone. He was determined not to pass it to anyone outside the family. Because Da Kui, the fourth-generation descendant, was childless, he accepted students outside the family. Even now, the Xing Yi lineage is still very strict about taking on students. It takes years of observation before they'll take you on as a student.
I didn't get accepted easily either. I got in touch with Master Dai many times. He judges a person's character. He'll take you on if he accepts your character. If not, he'll reject you.
This used to be the residence of the great master Dai Long Bang, you see?
One main feature of Xing Yi Chuan is form representation. The 10 main animal forms are based on dragon, tiger, snake, monkey, etc. as the sources from which they are created.
What is monkey? The hands are raised and thrust forward. What is horse?
When Chinese use an animal to represent a movement, it's not just emulating the animal. It's actually a description. Everyone knows animals. Using them to illustrate movements or forms makes it a lot easier to understand.
Xing Yi Chuan does not have any sparring routines. It is based on combat. Hands and feet are coordinated in defense and attack.
You have to make the opponent lose his balance while attacking. If you don't, your opponent can counterattack. In attacking, if I don't throw you off your balance, you can strike back at me.
I can fight back.
Right, you can counterattack. If I break your center of gravity, you're no longer in control.
Now I can't hit you.
You're too weak to fight back. Principles are important. You judge how good a kung fu style is by its foundation and principle.
Yeah, it's not just the movement,
That's
but
right.
the principle as
Correct.
well.
Now they know how power is generated in Xing Yi Chuan, Philip and Jerry will go to Taigou to receive training in Xing Yi Spear. They will also measure themselves against other senior students. Taigou, Shanxi is the birthplace of Xing Yi. Philip and Jerry are here to visit the Song School's second-generation descendant, Master Song Guanghua.
These are written in the Internal Strength Classic. Knowledge of the arteries, veins, and paths of qi enables unobstructed flow of qi and blood. Adherence to principles and forms brings understanding of the secret of power. Still and quiet training, regulated breathing strengthens the body.
Founding master Li Luoneng studied the Dai style. He modified Xing Yi into Xing Yi. The brothers Song Shirong and Song Shide took from Yi Jing and Xi Sui Jing and perfected it into the song style Xing Yi. The main stance and training method of Xing Yi is San Zi Shi, three bodies alignment. It requires unobstructed flow of blood and qi and adherence to forms and principles. The body is in a completely relaxed state, but still ready to spring into action.
When we box using Bang Chuan or this, the elbow must follow the knee, the hands, the feet, and the shoulder, the hip. The body is one coordinated unit, 3 in 1. That's why it's called San Tisha. Like this. Pao Chuan. Relax. Like this. In one instant, arouse the body to generate power. The older ones, we ask them to train like this. This is fine. Why is it so agile? It's the speed. In striking, we want power and speed in direct proportion to produce penetrative power.
Right.
Xing Yi stresses contraction and release to enhance the power and speed in throwing a punch.
It's the same in all boxing. The more relaxed, the greater the burst of power.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right, you must relax. You have to keep it relaxed. Keep your arms still.
Xing Yi is based on the combat principle of the spear. Through wielding the spear, you can train integral power and explosive power.
Your arms have to be still. Use only the strength in your waist. Right. Yeah, you've got it. Yes, you've got it.
The spear is heavy. They want us to hold our arms out straight and use our waist to shake the end of the spear to cause its tip to vibrate. It's wrong if you use the strength of only one hand. Now I understand how power is generated.
Use your waist. Right. The arms are still. You've got it.
When I make the spear vibrate, I can feel if the power has traveled to the tip. If it has not reached the tip, the pole will not vibrate. The more power I produce, the better use of the power in my waist, the harder the tip vibrates. In other words, if I use my fist, the power can go further. I'm beginning to appreciate what internal power is.
I can't do it anymore.
You're not there yet. You're out of breath. Your breathing is not settled. It's the panting, right?
Yeah.
If your breathing is calm, when you thrust, you won't pant much.
What Master was talking about is internal strength. What we did was like external strength training. We were out of breath afterwards, like doing weightlifting or running, but they don't pant at all afterwards. The way of how they generate power is internal strength.
I know why. They don't train by punching or hitting sandbags. So when they vibrate the spear like this, it's equivalent to punching sandbags hundreds of times like we do in Hong Kong.
Xing Yi involves not only still strength and active strength, but also supple strength.
Master Song Guanghe insisted on these movements. He was also very strict with me. He demanded me to train for 3 hours every day. I tried to train for 3.5 hours every day. If you train daily, you improve daily. Skipping one day is like skipping 10 days. That's why I train every day. I train in all seasons and all weather.
For generations, Master Song's family has been teaching boxing in their spare time. His residence is like a martial arts school. Students at all levels come and go all year long, doing fist and spear training. In ancient times, there were no modern gym facilities. But through spear training and the clinking sound of the small iron bell rolling around at the tip of the spear can provide scientific and objective pointers to the progress in your integral power training. Training in Xing Yi is based on the spear. Spear training is fist strength. Spear techniques, blocking, holding, and thrusting are the basic training moves in generating power in fist fighting.
Block, hold, thrust. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, thrust!
Block, hold, and thrust are the basic techniques of Xing Yi. And in blocking, we can deliver power to the front. The power comes from a small movement from behind that is amplified at the front. It's very effective. This is defense. The last move is an attack.
Right.
This is an attack.
I see.
In ancient times, the spear was a weapon used in battles to kill. To protect oneself, the way the spear was held and the stance were equally important.
They used to lunge forward when they thrusted. Why did Xing Yi modify it to san ti shi? To avoid this pitfall. When you lunge, see, it's easy to
Get pulled.
do a san ti shi stance. If you perform it well, it's not easy to
Correct.
pull you anymore. You do not lunge forward in your stance. You deliver the power,
Right.
not your body forward.
Right. Santisha stance.
San ti shi stance. Block, hold, thrust.
The so-called spear as fist means the spear is an extension of your hand. Through training in blocking, holding, and thrusting, you can develop spiral gusto.
To deliver the power, it must be delivered forward.
Just like in spear technique.
Correct. Why the spiral movement? You have to use both hands. With one hand, it's no good.
Right.
Using one hand is like this. But with both, you have chi, power, body, and form, everything. When you do this movement, spear and fist work under the same principle.
Xing Yi began with spear and evolved into fist. From Yue Fei to Ji Jie Ke, all masters were proficient in the art of the spear. In the Qing dynasty, because the Qing court restricted the use of weapons, the great masters of Xing Yi applied spear techniques to deliver power in fist fighting.
Now I understand what is spiral power. Spiral power can be seen in the tassel of the spear. If the angle of rotation is great, the tassel will turn in one direction. Apart from the clinking of the iron bell at the spear's tip, the tassel is also a good indicator of spiral power. The tassel shows me if the rotation angle is great enough. If my rotation angle is correct, my fist can generate the spiral power like the master does.
Block, hold, and thrust are spear techniques, but they can also be used as catch and grab techniques.
Go on, come at me.
It's the same as the spear techniques. When I attack, he twists my wrist and pushes me away. It's the same, even if I hit him higher up.
I treat your forearm like a spear. Hold and thrust. If I can hit him, I'll not hold but hit directly. If he neutralizes, I'll go like this.
Jerry and Philip sparred a few times with their seniors. In the end, they engage in combat to prove the functionality of the techniques.
Hit me. You hit me. Can you?
Hold this.
I'm sorry.
This is what Kung Fu's about. Both sides were polite. The movements were all concentrated around the shoulder. There was no room for waste. He grabbed me from the outside, I hit him from the inside. He was probably unprepared for my change in tempo. But if I didn't hit him, he would bide his time and lure me to strike him with fake moves. I just concentrated on my midline defense.
Hey, you're my senior after all.
Thanks. Thank you.
I'm not like you. You have many chances to spar and practice Sancho
Yes, you're
every
right.
day. We don't have that many chances.
Correct.
This is what we have to do in traditional Kung Fu.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
We're
Thank you.
just learning.
Thank you.
After completing training in Shanxi, Xing Yi, Philip and Jerry prepare to test their skills and share experience with their fellow students.
I appreciate the way they generate power. The power is tremendous. It's no joke. The way they wield their spears and box, you're likely to get hurt if you get hit. There are many theories you can discuss, but the simplest way to understand a martial art is to try it out with an opponent.
I'm very excited. I can't put it into words. To be honest, I've been in Shanxi these few days learning Xing Yi from the masters. They've done their best to teach us, but what we can absorb is limited. How much technique can we perform from what we've learned? I guess it's nearly nothing. But this is a great opportunity for me to understand the structures of other Chinese martial arts.
Philip will challenge a student trained in the dragon form.
They like to attack the abdomen. I got punched just now. It's quite heavy and painful.
Firstly, you held back too much. In many of your moves, you touched your opponent at the vital points with your palm. When you attacked, you didn't threaten him right away, so he could counterattack.
That's why I got hit.
Yes. If you hadn't used your palm but your fist, the situation would have been different. Using your palm, your reach is about 2 inches shorter. If you hit the target or not depends on those 2 inches. Using your palm, you have to reach farther. It's different with the fist.
Thanks.
Jerry will spar with a student trained in the monkey form.
He has the characteristic of a compact boxer. Incredible speed, quick change of tempo, and well-judged advance and retreat. It's hard to spar with someone like that. There's too much room here. There's no ropes defining an area. It's hard for me to corner him to one side. However much I advanced, he retreated just as much. My advance didn't pose a threat to him. Under the same situation, using the same move, my burst of power wouldn't have matched his speed. He is shorter. It's easier for him to lunge at me. Because we can't hit to the head, I've got to hit his body. It's very difficult to hit downwards from above.
I understand.
His hands have great reflex. That's it.
Very good.
It's the same for all martial arts. Ultimately, they are for combat. Combat is simple. It depends on how your mind works. I didn't do it well just now. I couldn't push in. He ducked so quickly, so I couldn't push in.
If you don't try out your kung fu with another but just keep training, it has little use. Through trials, it becomes more functional. Functionality is still the soul of kung fu. Without a soul for fitness and health, there are many other ways. You can run, swim, play ball games, anything, but they're not kung fu. That's why we have sparring trials like this. I hope we'll spend more time together in the future to meet and to have more sparring trials.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
At the end of the Ming and early Qing dynasty, commerce was booming in Taigou. With merchant banks and wealthy families, there were demands for guarded escort and home protection patrol services. Xing Yi was therefore able to take root and thrive here.
It has over 100 years of history.
It sounds rather strange, so straightforward. In protecting the rich, this style of martial arts was able to thrive here. This is the first time I've heard about it, but I think it makes sense. Especially in the old days with an imperfect legal system, many conflicts and disputes had to be settled by the fist.
Kung Fu as a profession then was different from Kung Fu as an art now. From a business angle, when you run a professional armed escort service, you wouldn't want others to see your Kung Fu. These are your trade secrets. But things are different now. There are guns and other ways to deal with that. Kung Fu's no longer a profession, but an art. What is martial art? It's a culture. Instead, you show people the best Kung Fu. When we visit the master's home, he was very welcoming and showed us his Kung Fu. This is martial art. He wants to promote Chinese culture. We are here at Mr. Li Luoneng's home protection patrol area. He was a very wealthy Shanxi merchant.
When the money exchange and remittance business started, armed escort services began to die out. The founding master Li Luoneng's descendants stopped boxing training. Xing Yi was passed down only in Master Song's family through direct descendants.
I was born and bred in a Kung Fu family. I feel I have great responsibility. My family has many guests visiting every day. We have to welcome and receive them. We rely on the meager earnings of our parents. Our siblings also chip in. Many of us are out of work, so Kung Fu is also a burden to us. But we feel that we have inherited a rich family tradition. If we don't train in it, how can we ask others to? If we don't do it well, how can we carry it forward and promote it? So this is our duty. It may be our interest, but even more, it's our duty to do it well.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you.
You've been working hard.
In the 60s and 70s in Hong Kong, you would eat at the rooftop in one big table with your fellow Kung Fu students. But here it feels like a family. We are in their home. They provide room and board for us. It's different from our experience in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, this would be a banquet. Every day they prepare a lot of food for us. The master's wife is a great cook. It's like visiting my home village when I was a kid. The feeling is like going back to my family home. Thank you, Master.
Don't mention it.
Apart from my family and parents, no one unrelated to me has been so good to me. I saw their relationship with their students. I've been here only for a few days, yet they're so warm to me. It reminds me of the way I felt when I was with my master in the past. It's been a long time. I don't want to leave. This trip to Shanxi gave me a chance to learn Kung Fu and to experience the affection between our fellow men. If this relationship and affection can spread to other places on Earth through Kung Fu, wherever it may be will be a better place for it.
Separately in Handan and Hong Kong, Jerry and Philip will continue to train in Xing Yi and Yi. They will engage in an ultimate trial. Philip has returned to Hong Kong from Shanxi. He hopes to understand further how Xing Yi evolved into Yichuan. Hung is a student of Master Xing. He has trained in Yichuan for over 20 years. Based on Xing Yi, Wang Xiangjai created Yichuan by integrating the best of various forms of boxing. Training emphasizes standing meditation, in which your body is harmonized and unified. It cultivates overall elasticity and brings you to a state of full body mobility. It's also effective in a combat situation.
In generating power, Yichuan has three characteristics. First, intact. On impact, if the joints are loose, the force will be weakened. If on impact the body works as one unit, the power will be more penetrating. Second, it follows the law of nature. When you punch forward, you don't go straight. We won't do it that way. It is because the gravity will pull it downwards. So, if you deliver your fist downwards, you don't need much strength, but it'll come down with power. Couple that with a twist of your body, a horizontal twist, all the power will work together to ram into your target. Third, intent. If you squash a mosquito, you need only a light pat. But for a fly, you need to hit harder. You need to apply enough strength, and your intent tells the muscle to act. Say there's a fly here. You smack it. You can do it faster. Right, faster. Relax, then smack. Try it once more. When the idea hits you, you go for it. Try again.
To me, Kung Fu is primarily a form of communication. You're honestly and directly communicating your thoughts using not your mouth, but your hands. That very moment, you must be genuine and honest in expressing yourself. The more direct and open, the easier it is to express yourself. You do it with your hands.
Good, stop.
So through this experience of sparring with my masters and fellow students, we've become closer friends.
The biggest reward on this trip to Taegu is being able to see Xing Yi and how the power is generated in internal style Kung Fu. For us who are trained in Wing Chun, it has been a good experience. The past few days didn't give us enough time, so our senior Bao Gui focused on only teaching us power generation. I'm going to Handan to learn from another master. He'll teach me more Xing Yi combat moves and techniques.
Master Cheng Wan-xin is the fourth-generation descendant of Song-style Xing Yi. Dozens of people train with him every morning, and many of his students he met in fights.
Xing Yi came from combat. In ancient times, it was born for combat. It's been kept alive all this time. It's now considered as intangible culture. I remember one time in the park, 3 kids came up to me. I thought they wanted to play. They said no. They wanted to fight me. I said, great. Let's test our strength with our hands. Of course, I beat them in the end. They didn't even have a chance to fight back. My fist hit one of them everywhere, all over the body. The last strike on the nose. So he gave up. Yeah, he later became my student.
Master Cheng has ample combat experience. He is proficient in the snake form. His training has given him a broad build. He was champion in many martial arts competitions. He has also trained many boxers for competition.
See how I handle the power? Try pushing. Do a Sun Tisha stance. Use the strength in your arm. Watch. Relax. Relax, naturally. Quickly, hold your fist tight. After that, let go. This is the key. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Speed it up.
Whew. Really, my hands are getting numb. His bridge hand is very firm. He must have had 10 to 20 years training or he wouldn't be able to do this. He must train bridge hand many times a day. I'm beginning to feel numb. It will swell up if I don't take care of it tonight. Just now, he made many moves that kept switching the paths of attack. What he was able to do is when he hit me, I felt no pain but a tremor. If he really wanted to hurt me, he could use different strength. But he has the ability to regulate his power at will. The master has a very high achievement in Kung Fu. Master Cheng is at a level where he can use any part of his body as a weapon. His shoulder, his back, even his butt and knee can be used as a weapon. It is an eye-opener.
Jerry will eventually face Master Cheng in an ultimate sparring trial.
I do Kung Fu. Of course I'd like to encounter someone superior. I don't want to spar with someone not as good. If I keep sparring with people weaker and shorter than me, it's pointless. I definitely want to fight a strong opponent to confirm what I've learned is correct. Meeting a highly proficient master is a once-in-a-lifetime chance.
Good. Stop! Good. Stop. Stop.
Okay, not bad. Quite good. He has quite solid basic qualities.
For me, it's about getting the experience.
Yes, spar more. Learn from each other. This way you improve and raise each other's standard.
This master's power, compared to the other two I sparred with earlier, is greater. He's able to express the thinking behind Xing Yi and his movements. As his opponent just now, I can feel his techniques and movements very clearly. He did not attack me with random moves. He was able to gauge the situation and the distance between the two of us and adjusted his response accordingly. I think this is the combat strategy of Xing Yi. Not only was coming here a great opportunity to study Xing Yi, but I also gained a valuable experience learning from the masters. One day, the master called the students he's trained for many years to demonstrate the use of sword and spear. Both the performers and the audience enjoyed themselves very much. I feel these elderly people have risen above the limit of their age. Their body and mind are in perfect harmony. Perhaps this is exactly what internal style Kung Fu advocates.
The master welcomed us into his home. He shared with us his best Kung Fu. He hoped to motivate us to keep the Kung Fu alive so it could be passed down to the next generation. And through Kung Fu, the world would get to know Chinese culture.